Well, hello, welcome to, in case you missed it, tonight's going to be insanity and a silver lining. We've already had a little bit of technical issues, as you saw during the intro. We got through it. We're here now. We got a lot to talk about. Oh, gosh, a lot happened after I got the Corvette out of the shop. We've also got some comments we need to address. A lot of people have thought that I'm down in the dumps, and I ain't gonna lie, at times I have been. A lot of people are already telling me to embrace the failure, that I've failed, that it's normal in business. But you might find out in this video I hadn't failed yet. I'm definitely down, but I'm definitely not out. There's a lot going on, so I want to talk about everything that's happened, and we're going to jump into that. But like always, we need to say hi to a few people that's been in here for a long time, waiting for me to come on the air. Let's start it off with the very first one in here tonight. Mr. Tim Back is here. Thank you for being here, sir. Good friend of mine. Let me also say hi to all the channel members. And if you'd like to become a channel member, hit the join button below this video, and it'll tell you how to do that. It's like $5 a month. It helps the channel out, and you should get some exclusive content. And with what's going on right now, there should be a lot of exclusive content coming real soon. So we'll talk about that later. But Ramon is here. He was the very first channel member. Then RGB, Snowman, Robbie Ross. Let's talk about Robbie Ross here in just a second. Let me get through the rest of the names. Corey Oatley, John Toohey, and Midlife Trucker round out all the members that we've got. You might notice, let me remove Tim's comments so y'all can see. I'm wearing a Dak Prescott shirt. My very first, it's actually the second Cowboys jersey I've ever had in my life. When I was a kid, I had a Randy White jersey, number 54, and I loved that shirt. I wore it out. And so my good friend Robbie Ross sent me this shirt, and I wanted to say thank you to him for that. It's really comfortable, and I love wearing it. But I'm afraid to wear it too much. I don't want to stain it up or nothing. But I really appreciate the shirt and thank him for that. And he's also a channel member as well. Gary Cook says he's here. Looks like he was second in today. And channel member Midlife Trucker was the third one in here today. Midlife then said, count me in for insanity. I'm at Waynesville, North Carolina pilot. It doesn't get more insane. He's referring to the title of this video. In case you missed it, episode 32, More Insanity and a Silver Lining. So by the time I get through rambling, you'll understand what all that means and the direction I was going with it. Roger Berry says, here, present and accounted for. Glad you made it. And another good friend of the show, Red Raider Reloading says, hello, trucking family. Roger Berry saying hi to everybody. And 24V149 says, I'm here. Good deal, sir. Roger Berry says there was an earthquake in West Texas. Have you heard anything about that, Paula? We're going to have to look into that. It must have been kind of a minor one. West Texas is enormous, so it could have been far from me, but she's going to look into that. Alaska wants to know if I ended up going to look at the KW. I'm going to answer that here really, really quick. Let me get caught up on the comments. Some people have waited several hours. Right now, we're about an hour behind. So let me get those caught up, and I'll kind of tell you what happened when I went to get the Corvette and what happened with that KW and all of that. Channel member Robbie Ross says, hello, my friend from Eastern Arizona on my way to Savannah, Georgia. You may be passing pretty close to through here then. Corey Oatley, channel member, is asking Midlife, how was Disney? Yes, sir. Midlife, were you able to get your picture with Goofy or Snow White? And channel member John Toohey is here. All right. Another good friend, and you're all good friends, but I just think to say it sometimes. Ted is here, says, hello, sir. Still driving, but here. I'm glad you made it. Don says, good evening. I'm not trying to discount anybody. I'm just rushing through so we can get to the stuff that y'all want to discuss. It's kind of cold and rainy here, so I decided to go to the beach. Channel member Midlife says, Corey, well, I delivered at Dopey Drive. It was a pretty smooth delivery, deadheaded to Pendergrass, Georgia from Orlando. Channel member Corey says, Midlife, that's a fair amount of deadhead. Good to be a company guy. Love the street name. Yeah, me too. That's pretty cool. And Kid Behind the Wheel says, hi, Todd. No matter what happens, you showed character and integrity through these hard times. You're still alive and have your family, and that's what matters. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's been an adventure. I can't wait to tell you all about all this. We're just going to do a couple more. We're up to the 6 o'clock now, so I'm within 5 minutes, and I feel like we can jump into it. Craig Hutchinson says, good evening, Trucker Todd. Thank you for being here, sir. No Fear says, hello, everyone. Hey. Ramon says here. Good deal. Christian Harlow is here. All right, man. Thank you for being here. Hey, Acceleration's got a cool load. His current load is 3 boxes weighing 228 pounds. Lightest load in his 10 years of trucking. Yeah, you ought to be getting some fuel economy on that load. No Fear says that pilot is crazy. And Gary Cook says he's playing in Atlanta traffic. Okay, so you might remember Tuesday night. Let me pull that comment so y'all can see the website and everything. Don't forget in the little ticker going across the bottom of your screen is my website, the email address, and also Scott's email address if you've got a truck and you're more interested in learning how to come work where I work. Notice I said I work. So here's what's going on. Tuesday night, I did the video. I said, hey, they said the truck's done. I'm going to go pick it up in the morning. Now, you guys might remember the prior week, they had told me I could take the truck right then, but the horn wasn't working. The turn signals weren't working. They went through all this stuff that needed to be fixed. I said, hey, we've got to get those things fixed. I'll wait for it because I've got to get a state inspection, get it registered. Nobody's going to buy it in that condition. And so they said, all right, give us a little more time. Well, I went to pick it up Wednesday morning after doing the video Tuesday night. And guess what? None of that stuff works. Doesn't look like they even touched it. I think they stalled. But wait, there's more. Now we have additional problems. Now, not only does that stuff not work, the driver's door interior handle doesn't work. You can't open the door from inside the car. And when you do open the door, they've done something to the door panel to where it rubs on the car when you open the door, to the point that I'm afraid if I don't fix it really, really, really quickly, that it's going to tear up that door panel. And those door panels, you can get them, but they're not cheap. And so that's something that's going to have to be addressed really quickly. So I took it to the dealership that all this time I've had on the hook. They were going to buy the car as soon as I got it out of the shop. I took it over there. And their floor plan had been reduced, and they said, we can't buy the car right now. So I'm pretty discouraged, I ain't gonna lie, because that'd been my golden egg. That'd been what I'd put all my eggs in that basket. So I took it home, and it was probably 30 minutes or an hour later. A guy messaged me. He says, hey, I think I want that car. I'm over at the Market Street on 98th and Quaker, which is a large grocery store here. He says, why don't you bring it over here and let me take a look at it? I'm having lunch right now. So he's late 40s, early 50s. I drive it over, show him the car. He loves it. And even with those defects that I mentioned to you, he's like, Todd, those are small things. I can fix them. Can you help me out on the price? I said, you betcha. $17,000. He said, do you have any flexibility beyond that? I said, sure, I'll entertain offers. He said, all right, I want my dad to see it because my dad has Parkinson's, and kind of the bonding thing we do is we buy Corvettes, fix them up, and then sell them. And he said, could you bring it by my dad's house? I said, absolutely. So he messaged me later, said, hey, how about 6 o'clock? All right, 6 o'clock comes along. I go to this house, and the car literally starts falling apart in his driveway or out on the street in front of his driveway. I mean, everything we touched went to crap. We're looking over the car. They start off, dang, this is a nice car. Can we see if its numbers matching? Because I didn't know. It's like, sure. So I go to pull the hood release. The handle breaks. We can't get the hood open. Then we go to turn the lights on, and they flip up okay. When it comes time to go down, one of them sticks and won't go down. I had to get out there and work on it. I got it working, and then it was working. The dash lights go out. I mean, just one thing after another. And so he says, I'll give you $14,000. And I said, could you do 15? He said, maybe. And I said, I'll tell you what, I'll take 14 if you'll do it right now. He says, well, give me a minute. I want to look over it some more. Well, just one thing after another. I don't know if they did it. The shop did it. I did it when we were trying to get the hood up. What happened? But there's now about a 3-inch crack in the fiberglass hood, or partially fiberglass hood, whatever compound it is. I mean, it was a nightmare. I've sold probably 600 cars in my lifetime. And of all the cars I've sold, I've never had one deteriorate in front of me like that. Well, here's the funny thing. When he said, I've decided I'm going to pass on it, everything started working. I'm not even kidding. The lights started working. The dash started working. It was crazy. And I was so mad I couldn't hardly talk. So I'm like, we went from $14,000 to zero. There's no middle ground there. And they're like, no, we think we're going to pass. And so I drove it home. And the short answer to your question is, no, I didn't go look at the Kenworth because it didn't make any sense if I wasn't going to have the money to do a deal. That guy, I did text him. We were texting back and forth about that Kenworth. He said he had 2 other guys coming to look at it. And so I figure it's gone now. I haven't touched base with him because the car, for the first time in the 2 years I've had it, instead of being in the shop, it's sitting out here in my driveway and in front of the house. And so you guys know about losing the Kenworth. They contacted me today. Now all of a sudden they want to make a deal. They want to work something out. After I've cleaned out the truck, after they told me they weren't going to work with me, now all of a sudden they want to work with me. And I told them I'd give them a decision by tomorrow afternoon. There's a lot of things going on behind the scenes right now I can't talk about yet. But I did talk to some other trucking companies today. I am still looking at some trucks and working out some alternative ways to make that work. But as of now, as of today, I'm still contracted with SRO Logistics, and the plan is still to stay there if at all possible. I did have a super nice guy call me last night. We talked for probably 30 or 45 minutes, and he was another small carrier, had his own authority. He's getting ready to retire, and he's got a 2023 Peterbilt. He wanted me to lease purchase his truck, no money down, all that, and come to work with him. I still self-dispatch and all of that. The problem was he wants to work until about January. And so he was saying if I could find a way to survive till January, he'd like me to come take over that truck. Super nice guy. We had a great conversation on the phone. But I explained to him that I wanted to stay with Scott if there was any way that was possible. And if that wasn't possible, that I needed something a lot quicker than what he was able to offer, wanting me to come on in January. So the other thing is that I've got some stuff working that I can't talk about. It's some of it might take a week to come to fruition before I could start driving again. Some of them I could start this weekend and possibly still work with SRO Logistics. Probably, though, most of them would go into next week. Just because we found out how the Mississippi plates work. I'm running under Scott's plates right now. And it would take, they don't just let you move the plate and they move everything over. You have to return that plate and get another plate. And he'd have to get all the registration junk and paperwork for the permit book. So that stuff takes a few days. And so it's possible that when I do the Tuesday video, I'll still be at home or I'll be getting ready to leave from home. I hope that it's still with SRO Logistics. And like I said, I think we'll have a clearer picture of what's going on tomorrow afternoon. Obviously, if everything goes south, there's the potential that I could reclaim that Kenworth that the finance company took from me and remain on with SRO. I did talk to some outside carriers today. Some of them aren't going to take me until that accident is a year old. So some of them were eliminated and some of them would take me, but they're just not going to be as good a deal as what I got with Scott at SRO Logistics. So if I can stay here at SRO Logistics, without a doubt, that's where I'm going to be the most profitable. That's where I'm going to be the happiest, quite honestly. Several people have thought I needed to take a company job, and a few of you have even told me about some really good companies that might or might not take me with that accident on there. And I appreciate all the suggestions. I really do. And at the proper time, I may take a look at some of those. But the goal has always been, since this whole thing went south, to stay with Scott. And I really need to sell that Corvette. But I mean, if we've trashed it to where it's not a collector's piece anymore, or if that shop trashed it more specifically to where it's not a collector's piece anymore, then I may turn it into a daily driver if it doesn't sell here pretty quick before I have to leave town. The deadline will be when I leave town. If I get a truck or if I get the Kenworth back when I leave town, all bets are off on the Corvette. It'll go back in my shop and it'll sit there till my finances are aware that I can send it to another shop that I trust and get the rest of those repairs done. So I hope that clears things up. And that's the insanity, is all the crazy stuff. I couldn't believe the finance company called me. I told them on Tuesday, they didn't say nothing on Wednesday. And then today, all of a sudden, they want to negotiate. And I don't know why they let it get to this point before they're trying to work with me or anything like that. Also, several people have sent me trucks in the $35,000 range, guys getting out of the business or retiring or whatever. And while those trucks would be a great deal, if I can't come up with $2,000 right now for that W9, I probably can't come up with $35,000 either. I did see about getting a collateral loan with my bank, and my credit had taken such a hit the past 30 days. And quite frankly, my income had taken quite a hit the last 30 days. And so they didn't say outright no. What they said was they'd rather me get back to work and run about 90 days. And then they'd like to give me a pretty decent size line of credit so that we don't have these issues again if there's another breakdown. So they were really friendly about the whole deal. And I think probably by this time next year, I'll have a big line of credit set up with them and we won't have these problems again. And I'll still save a maintenance account and all of that. But that line of credit will be there if it exceeds what I got in my maintenance account. So we'll see what happens. But there's definitely, a lot of people are worried that I'm down or something. And there's still a lot to be optimistic about and positive about. Now, there was a time this morning when I was a little bit down, but then just things started to snap together. And I think sometimes the mental picture that we get about the situation is actually worse than what it really is. Terry B says 2018 Freightliner Cascadia 10-speed, lots of new stuff, too many to name. 60,000, you won't find a more solid truck. If you can finance, we could talk. Yeah, that's the deal. If I could finance, I'd have lots of options. But none of them are very excited to talk to me when my income's about 25% of what it was this month. And it's just because of being down. I still got other sources of income. my wife works. She's got a pretty decent job, and I make a little bit off of YouTube and some other things. So I've still got an income, but it's not significant enough for a finance company or a bank to justify selling me a truck. And they don't care what I did 6 months ago or 3 months ago. They care about what I'm doing right now. Channel member Midlife says, check the hinge pin bushing on the door. Stingrays had an issue where they wear just enough to bind. Okay, I'll check that out. The doors don't seem like they're sagging. I think what they did is, that striker pin, I think it's adjustable with an Allen wrench, and I think they just adjusted it a hair too high. I bet if I lowered it maybe 1/8 of an inch or 1/4 of an inch, it would fix it. But they had no reason to be messing with the door. They were supposed to put the cluster back in it, and they were supposed to put the steering wheel back on it. That was it. I don't know what they were doing in the door. I don't know why the inside door handle doesn't work. Some of you have suggested that I sue them. The problem you're going to have is it's hard to prove that they did anything. And it's hard to prove that, they're going to go to court and say, it's a 50-year-old car. Stuff wears out. We're not responsible, blah, blah, blah. Now, granted, they fixed all these things a couple of years ago, and I probably hadn't driven it 500 miles since then. But they're going to say, we don't know what Trucker Todd did to this car the last 2 years. So it's going to be real hard to pin anything on them. I think the best I could do is probably leave them a negative Google review and possibly a negative Yelp review or something like that. In this day and age, internet reviews seem to be the things that motivate companies the most. And when I do something like that, I have to think is what kind of outcome do I want to get out of this? If what am I going to do if they say, well, Todd, bring it back up here, we'll fix it. And then it sits there another 2 months and they break even more stuff. It has a spot on the rear quarter fender that looks like they key scratched it. Again, I believe it happened there. I can't prove it. There's about a 2 or 3 inch crack on the hood. I don't know. I feel confident they did it, but it could have happened when that hood release lever broke and we were trying to get the hood up. It could. There's so many things that it's probably their fault, but it'd be hard to prove. And so I think a bad review is probably the best I can do. And just like I say, if you don't like a YouTuber, stop watching their videos. The best way to change that shop's behavior to make them better is to not ever go there again. Leave the negative review and then don't go there. If they shape up, then they'll survive. Other people will still go there. But if they start screwing over other people the way they screwed me over, then it won't last. And they've been there for decades. So they've got a good reputation. And the guy, I was telling this to another guy today on the phone. The guy that owns the place is a super nice guy. I went in there with my fist clenched, ready for a fight. And he's just so nice, you can't be mad at him. And somebody said, well, maybe that's his MO. Maybe he gets away with stuff because he's just such a nice guy. You don't want to be mad at him. But he really, the thing that really upsets me about that deal is I told him last week, he said, oh, you can take the car, but this don't work and that don't work and this messed up and that's messed up. And I was like, well, fix it. I need the car to be right so I can sell it. And today Tuesday, I go in there and all that stuff's still screwed up. He's telling me it's done. I'm like, so you didn't do the inspection sticker or fix the horn or none of that other stuff you said you were going to fix? No, I didn't do it. He's like, you can still sell it. And I'm like, yeah, for a fraction of what it's worth. So now I've got to pay another shop to go in there and fix what he should have done. And I don't want to talk about it too much tonight because it really does upset me. You can see my face getting red right now and my temper coming out a little bit. But there's no way that I can spin this in my mind to where I don't feel like they didn't rip me off or take advantage of me. And it's the old fool me once thing. They got me this time, but they won't get me again. Dale says, hello, Todd. Hello, Dale. Thank you for being here. now it's been a few weeks. Will you need some backing practice? You know, it's funny you mentioned that. That was channel member Midlife that said that. It's been so long since I worked for SRO. He may have to give me a refresher course on how to build a trip the way he wants it done. I remember, but I may need to go to an empty parking lot and practice backing and all of that stuff. I've been down a while. Obviously, the most expedient way for me to get back on the road would be go get that KW. But the way they've done me and the way they've now all of a sudden want to help, it just puts a sour taste in my mouth. I don't know if I want to deal with them. Obviously, if I don't have any other options, I guess I will. But like I said, I got a few things cooking right now. And to those that thought I had failed or that I was out or that it's game over, all I'm going to tell you is you might be surprised. How much would it shock everybody if I actually ended up in a better position than what I was? What if I even ended up in a better truck than what I had, or with more favorable terms or something like that? I'm not saying I will. I'm not saying I won't. I'm just saying that I might still shock you. The way that I keep getting over is people keep underestimating me and thinking, oh, this is what's going to sink Todd. And some of the reason these opportunities are available to me is because of the reputation I've established of being a good driver that picks up and delivers on time, that takes care of his equipment, that runs hard, things like that. So we'll see. No Fear says, tell them to put the payments on the end. They're not interested in doing that at all. And they're not interested in financing any of that $5,000 repair bill. I'd have to come up with that on my own. Here's what they are willing to do, and you can take it as if you think that they're working with me or not. I'm three weeks behind on payments right now. They're willing to let me make my first payment on the 17th, just a regular truck payment, $695. And then each Friday after that, make a payment and a half, which is right at a little over $1,000. So it depends how you look at it. You could say they're working with me. You could say that they're setting me up to fail. I don't know. I don't consider that a real favorable deal. I would like to see them say, and we're still in the negotiations. I'm waiting to see what other opportunities open up tomorrow. I'd like to see them say, hey, we're going to move those 3 truck payments to the end of your note, and we're going to start you fresh next Friday with no payment and a half or none of that crap. They don't seem inclined to do that, but I think they realize now that I don't bluff. And when they threaten, hey, we're going to take the truck from you. All right, here you go. I don't know. We had a real good, productive conversation today. Me and the finance company did, but I just don't like the way they've treated me so far. So I'm not saying I will work with them, won't work with them. I'm saying I'm going to get a lot of answers tomorrow. And maybe if I get those answers early enough in the day, I'll send a video out to the channel members and kind of let them know what's going on. If something really big happens tomorrow, I may even do another live like this and just tell you all about it. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens tomorrow. But I'm really optimistic and excited for the first time in several weeks. A lot of opportunities are opening up. All right, let's see what we got here. Hey, channel member Ramon says he's got to take off. Have a good night, Todd. You too, sir. Thank you for stopping by. Please try to catch the replay tomorrow if you can. T says, just got here. Tell me you got good news. Not really. I mean, it's been pretty crappy, to be honest. That Corvette falling apart in that guy's driveway. I could have never predicted that. And I've been driving it all over town. It runs and drives great, but just, when things like this happen, and I was talking, my wife even kind of mentioned this. Sometimes it's a sign, and maybe God doesn't want you to sell that car on that day to that person or something like that. So if that deal's not meant to be for whatever reason, then I'm just going to kind of leave it in God's hands. And when it's time for that car to sell, it will sell. all that's happening could lead me to an even better truck or an even better situation. Hopefully it's with Scott. And right now it's looking like me and Scott may be able to continue working together. Like I said, I won't know till tomorrow afternoon. But if I have to move on, then I know the doors will open that need to be open and the right deal will come along. But I know a lot of people are really depressed. A lot of people thought I was depressed. And I'm starting to see some silver lining in all this insanity. Thus the title of this video. So I know that it's kind of drug out a little bit, and I just ask you guys to be patient as we navigate through this. I've missed a lot of your phone calls when you call me because, quite frankly, I'm on the phone with companies or on the phone with Scott or, you know, doing what I need to do, talking to bill collectors, talking to finance companies, things like that, and talking to banks. So right now, you know, I'm in a shark-infested pond, and I'm doing okay, but sometimes I can't take calls or tell you what's going on. I've got to save it for these videos so I can focus. And then when we get to the other side, when I get out of the water, then I can kind of tell you what I went through and how many sharks I saw and all of that. So just asking you guys to hang in there with me a little bit longer. All right, let's see here. Channel member Midlife says, the line of credit for a maintenance account sounds like a real good safety net. That's what I'm thinking. And they're talking like $25,000, $30,000 worth of safety net. So if I could get it set up where I had $25,000, $30,000 credit, line of credit for repairs, and then I could do a maintenance account of say 10 or 15 cents a mile, then even if I had an engine go or something, I'd be prepared to deal with it. And so there's bigger things coming. I never get in a situation and get comfortable and think, okay, I don't need to do anything. I'm always angling and thinking, how could I make this situation better? How could I make it more profitable? To be honest with you, you know, some of you that are telling me become a company driver, that's the big draw to being an owner operator, is that no matter how good you do, there's always room for improvement. You can always increase your fuel economy. You can always increase your fuel buying abilities and how much you save. And so there's always a way to challenge yourself. It never gets monotonous. There's always a way you can improve. I'll tell you something I'd like to get good at is running spreadsheets. I can't do a spreadsheet. And so I'm hoping to sit down with somebody here pretty quick and learn the ins and outs of spreadsheets. And I know some of you have talked to me about that are really good at that. And so that's something I can learn. That's a way that I can improve, expand, things like that. Nowadays, there's all kinds of apps you can download and stuff that help you. You know, Kevin Rutherford has a lot of stuff that'll help you with fuel economy, things like that. So that's the challenge to me, is that there's always a way I can improve. Doesn't matter how well I do or if I'm at the top of my game, I can always get better. And that's what drives me. And some of you are going to say, well, Todd, as a company driver, you could still manage your fuel economy, and you can. And unless your company offers a fuel bonus or something like that, it doesn't really affect your bottom line. Everything I do now affects my bottom line. Negotiating rates is another one. It doesn't matter how good I am at it. There's always room for improvement. So I read books about negotiation, or actually, I ain't going to lie, I listen to them on audiobooks. But I listen to that kind of stuff while I'm going down the road when the phone's not ringing, because I want to be the best I can be. And when you guys call me with questions, I want to give you good advice. You know, I've had several people call me and ask how to negotiate, and I help them, and how to talk to brokers and what to ask and where to go and where not to go. And I didn't just wake up one morning and know all this stuff. It's kind of like a football player. Since we got on the Dak Prescott jersey, let's talk about that for a second. You know, football players practice hours and hours every week so that they're good on Sunday for 3 or 4 hours. Weeks and weeks, years. Some of them have been playing football since they're 5 or 6 years old. Also that on Sunday they'll be good for 3 or 4 hours. And it's the same thing in trucking. you're practicing, getting better, working, honing your craft, because so that you'll be great for that 11 hours a day you're driving. No Fear is laughing along, and he says, No Fear says, do we need to teach you how to drive again? Just kidding. You might if I get a manual transmission, because I haven't drove a manual since I had that 08 Volvo. And I hope I still remember how to do it. They say it's like riding a bike. Red Raider Reloading secrets. LOL. Yeah, some of you know some of the secrets, but none of you know all the secrets. And I got some really good people in here that are really loyal to me. And they keep the secrets really well. But it's not that I'm hiding anything from anybody, but this is just a real fast evolving story. And I might talk to you at 3 o'clock today and then learn something else at 3:30. So No Fear says, I don't either. Nicholas says, what do you mean it fell apart? I mean, everything started going wrong. The door panel started coming loose. The driver's door didn't want to open with the inside handle and was really hard to open with the outside handle. Lights quit working. And then it was like the second the guy said, I think I'm going to pass, it started working. And I started showing him, I'm like, hey, look, it's working now. He's like, yeah, but I'm worried that, maybe something's wrong behind there. And I was like, well, let's work on the price to where even if there is something wrong, you can get it fixed. And I'm like, and I told him, I said, I'm ready to make a deal. I got to buy another truck. I said, it's a great car. I'll take you for a ride. I'll let you drive it. And I kind of wonder if they didn't really have the money, or if it was a negotiating tactic and they'll call me in a few days. I did text him today and told him I had dropped the price. I've dropped the car to $13,000, and which is almost half what I started off at. So I think I'm being real reasonable on the pricing. And, I had a couple of auctions that wanted me to put it on there, but that they want you to leave it on there like a week. And I either need to poop or get off the pot. I either need to sell the car or decide to keep it and stick it back in storage. But more than any of that, I need to get back to work. So that's been my focus from the time I wake up till the time I go to sleep. If I'm not making a video, I'm on the phone with somebody. And some of you have called me and I'm on multiple phones. So I'm talking to you and I'm texting on another one and looking stuff up on another one. And so I'll be glad when things slow down a little bit. But if you hadn't got me, it's not that I'm mad at you. I'm not avoiding you. I'm just, I'm prioritizing keeping my business going. And that's another thing about becoming a company driver. I set up an LLC and did a lot of stuff. And I don't want to retire that LLC. It's my understanding, I don't know this for a fact, that if you close your LLC, you have to wait 5 years to start another one. I don't know if that's true or not, but my former accountant, that's what he would say. Daryl says, hey, Todd, I started my day in Liberal, Kansas, delivered in your neighborhood, Plainview, Texas. Now I'm sitting in Temple, Texas. Did some hard driving today. Yes, you did. That Plainview to Temple is a boring drive. I sympathize with you, man. I wish I'd have known you was in the area, though. I'd have liked to have seen you. This is an inside deal between me and Red Raider Reloading. He says, I got a day cab I can lease you, LOL. I bet it's a pretty dark gray color, isn't it? T says, these car shops are starting to be no good. You almost have to call a mobile mechanic out and supervise them. A lot of these shops are behind the 8 ball, especially since COVID. Yeah, I agree with that. And I'll tell you, I don't know about where you live, but around here, a lot of the mobile mechanics, they used to call them shade tree mechanics. Well, now they're just shady. They'll steal stuff out of your car and things like that. And I'm just afraid on that Corvette because there's literally some parts that you can't get no more. The bezel that the speedometer and the tachometer go in, you can find them, but they're not the right color. They're not that reddish color like mine is. You have to buy like a black one or a green one and dye it, and it's just a lot of work. And the plastic, let's just say this about GM. They weren't using the highest quality of plastics in the mid-70s. T says they can't wait for the opportunity to get rich off one car. Well, yeah, and it's really unnecessary. I've demonstrated, especially with that car, a willingness to spend money because I knew it was worth it. The very first time I took it there, I spent over $4,000 on it, and it needed a lot of work. I got new calipers and did a bunch of stuff to it. So I'm not put a new master cylinder on it, did a lot of brake work, did some electrical work. I did a lot of stuff to it. And so I'm not afraid to spend money on it because I believe the car is worth it. But I don't want to get screwed either. I don't want to be sold stuff it doesn't need. And that's what I feel like they did. And if the hood has a 3-inch crack in it, then I want to find a hood, or I want to turn it into a daily driver and enjoy it because it's a blast to drive. With that 4-speed, you can ask my wife. I've been all over Lubbock in that car, having a good old time. And it's decent on gas. I put $20 in it the other day, and I've driven it all over the place. But my son's like, bring it down to Tahoka, and I'll work on the door and everything. And I may do that. I don't know. I hadn't had the time right now. Right now, my number one focus is getting this truck situation fixed because, nothing else matters without the truck. All of this stuff, this camper, my trip to the beach, everything is contingent on me having the trucking job. Even this YouTube channel, while it does produce income and everything, it's all contingent on me being a truck driver. If I go get a job at Wendy's tomorrow, then I'm not Trucker Todd anymore. And so that's what I'm focusing on. That means some of you's phone calls are getting skipped, especially if I'm in a real important call. But I think tomorrow I'm going to have some good news. And I think by Monday or Tuesday, I'm going to have a lot of good news. You're going to see what direction I'm going. And I'm not hiding it from you or dragging it out. I honestly don't know everything right now, but I can tell you that the picture is a lot more clear now than it was at 8 o'clock this morning. And it'll be a lot more clear tomorrow afternoon by 3 or 4 o'clock than what it is right now. Midlife channel member says, even as a company driver, I watch my mile per gallon and fuel cents per mile. I get 7.51 and 51 cents per mile fuel costs, including IFTA. Yeah, but I would say, Midlife, that you're the exception and not the rule. And I'll bet you if I sat down with the leadership at your company, they would tell me that you're one of the better drivers for taking care of the equipment and doing the right thing. I'll bet you a lot of drivers, not only at your company, but at every company that are company driver, they run it pedal to the floor and they don't care because they're not paying for it. And I know you said you manage your speed and try to maximize your fuel economy. And honestly, Midlife, I know we've disagreed on a few things in the past, but if I had a company and I was looking for company drivers, you're exactly the kind of driver I'd be looking for because you do take care of the equipment and you do try to take care of the company and you're mindful about all those things. So, congratulations for just being a class act and a good guy. But I'll bet you that there's a lot of guys that you work with that don't do what you do. L1L says, hey, Todd, I'm sitting in Lubbock at the Loves. Oh, wow. That's cool, man. I wish I'd have known you were there earlier. I'm on the other side of Lubbock. I'm in South Lubbock. So I'm probably about 9 miles from you, something like that. But yeah, I know right where you're at. T says, oh, please. They're tampering with that car. Yeah, I agree with you. He told me one day, he let it slip that he had 3 new mechanics and that he's showing them stuff on my car while he's doing it. And it wouldn't surprise me at all if they took that door panel apart to kind of show them how the inner workings work, and didn't get it back together correctly. I don't have a doubt in my mind that they did some of that stuff. And quite frankly, it really, really upsets me, more than I could tell you. If he wanted to do that, ask me, say, hey, Todd, do you mind if I remove this door panel and show the guys around in there? I'd have probably said, fine, go ahead. While you're in there, grease the apparatus that raises and lowers the window. Instead, it looks like they knocked the mirror loose, and I'm going to have to reattach it. If you do it the correct way, you have to remove the door glass on the driver's door, and it's a big pain in the butt. So I will probably consult with a body shop I know here in Lubbock and see if there's an epoxy or something I can use to reattach that mirror to the door. But they just, man, I almost couldn't believe it was the same car when I got there. I was in shock, and I was like, well, at this point, screw it. I'm going to take it over and sell it. And then when I got over to the dealership and found their floor plan had been cut and they couldn't buy any cars right then, I was like, all right, I went into scramble mode, and everybody was calling me, asking me about the Kenworth that I didn't get to go look at, and asking me how much I sold the Corvette for. And I couldn't even take the calls. I was just like, all right, I got to focus, because I've been telling everybody for a month that when that car gets out of the shop, I'm going to sell it, and I'm going to pay this, and I'm going to do this and do that. And all of that fell flat on its face real quick. L1L says, pick up tomorrow at TBC Enterprises. Is that the peanut butter place? Racing Ray, my uncle is here, says, I'm in late. I remember you wearing that 54 jersey. Randy White, the Manster. Yeah, look at me now. I got the Dak Prescott thing going. If I get to see you in the next few days, I'll wear it over there. I mentioned in a video that my wife was hoping to get me one for Christmas or something like that. And Robbie Ross, who is a great friend of mine, and a huge Cowboys fan. Matter of fact, he invited me to the Cowboys game Thanksgiving Day in Dallas. And I told him I wasn't going to go because I was probably going to be hanging out with you guys for Thanksgiving. But he got me this jersey, and it came in the mail. And I told him when it got here, when did it get here, Paula? Tuesday or Wednesday?
Yesterday.
It got here yesterday. And I told him I was going to wear it in the video tonight and mention him. But it's just another example of, I've got great channel members on here. Y'all might remember recently that Midlife sent me 3. I said 2 at the time, but it turned out it was 3 GoPros. And I'm fixing to put those things to use too. I haven't done it yet just because of all the chaos around here. But if we get the truck situation settled either tomorrow or next week, you're going to see those things in heavy rotation usage. I'm really, really excited to try it. So I've had this channel roughly about 4 years, and the whole time I've had it, I've wanted to aspire to that GoPro level. And thanks to Midlife, that's a reality now. And so I'm going to take full advantage of that. Midlife says you can, channel member says you can have multiple LLCs, and truthfully, you wouldn't need to close it. I have 3. That's, yeah, that was another thing he told me. And I didn't really listen as well as I should have, because it wasn't something I ever thought about at the time. But there is a way to make it inactive and you don't lose it. And I don't know. I'm even afraid to go down and get a P.O. box or something, because if I do, I have to change the address. And I just don't know what all is involved in that, the expense. I know some people say you can do it online. And I think it varies a little from state to state. That's an area where I just don't have all the answers. Red Raider Reloading says, have to unload. Talk to you later. All right. Thanks, man. Appreciate you being here tonight. And I don't even have to tell him that I hope he'll watch the replay. He's loyal. He'll be back. He'll watch the replay. And then tomorrow he'll text me his thoughts and opinion. Yeah. Midlife channel member says, he said this the other day and I thought it was funny. Parts made of unobtainium. Yeah, and it's not that they're completely unobtainable. I mentioned that I know a YouTuber that he has like a Corvette wrecking yard, and he can get parts, but they sit out in a vacant lot in the heat, and the plastic breaks down, and it's kind of hit and miss. One time you get a good part, one time you don't. And so I bought a pair of T-tops from him to have a spare because they're kind of hard to get a hold of. And I bought the factory leather bag that the T-tops go in, some stuff like that from him in the past, back when I had a lot more money than I do right now. And I've got that sitting out in my shop too. But to get new OEM parts is almost impossible. There's some third parties that sell some stuff, but just like gauges and stuff, a lot of them want you to upgrade to Dakota Digital or somebody like that. And I like the factory look. I like original. Incidentally, Racing Ray, if you're still here, I know you've been wanting to see the Corvette. It's at my house for now. Midlife channel member says, I'm too old to crawl in and out of a vet. Me too. Me too. I can get in a lot easier than I can get out. But I have to slide the seat all the way back, not because of my gut, but just to get my legs in. They don't bend as well as they used to. It really, really stinks getting old. I can't get my mind to accept that I'm not in my 20s anymore. And it's never more obvious than when I climb in that lifted pickup and almost fall out of it getting out of it. If I get in and out of it very many times in a day, I'm sore. And more than once, I've had the thought of putting smaller tires on it again. Channel member Midlife says, the new rumor, Todd lost the piano crib and is living on the beach as a bum. Yeah, that is actually a true rumor. So I lost the camper. I lost the house. I'm in Southern California on the beach and having the time of my life. This hat, when I'm not making videos, I turn it upside down and people put change in it. And I sing a cappella now since I don't have the piano. Edward Rogers. Hey, that's the nice guy I was telling y'all about that I talked to extensively on the phone last night. Hey, Todd, you can open as many LLCs as you like. You don't have to wait 5 years. That's good to know, but I hate to lose Trucker Todd LLC. I love that one. Germanic tribesman said trolls are saying the pigtail is all that's wrong with your truck. Well, they're going to say stuff. They never let facts get in the way of the truth, for sure. But right here, and I've showed this on this channel before, is the estimate where Rush Truck Centers, I'm not going to show the whole estimate, says that it needed a PCM. So they don't have to believe me. I wish they were right. You guys that know me, that have met me in person, know I carry a spare pigtail under my bunk, and that's always the first thing I check, because them things will go out from all the bending and flexing and all of that. But they've said all kinds of stuff. They've said I'm a wife beater. They've said I'm a drug addict. They've said, that I'm a child molester. They said that I got fired from Swift for making racial comments. They just make stuff up and see what sticks. And they can think what they want. They can say what they want. I really don't care what they say. I don't watch their videos. I really don't. Usually if I find out about something they said or did, if somebody sends me a clip, and I know they think it upsets me, but honestly, I think it's pretty funny. A lot of times I just laugh it off. When you get to be 50 years old, and that's how old I am, I'm 50. In December, I'll turn 51. You get real comfortable in your skin. You get to where you know who you are as a person. And so they can get on here. They can call me stupid. They can call me dumb. They can say I'm full of myself. I've been told I'm out of touch. They can say all those things. It doesn't affect me because I know who I am. The people that talk to me on the phone know who I am. The people I work with and technically for, even though I'm an independent contractor for SRO Logistics, Scott knows who I am, the kind of person I am. So when they email him and tell him some bogus stuff, or if they call him and tell him some bogus stuff, I'm not worried about it because he knows who I am. He knows the kind of person I am. My family knows the kind of person I am. And fortunately, a lot of the guys in the chat right now have talked to me and they know the kind of person I am. Am I perfect? Absolutely not. I think most of them will tell you that I'm pretty set in my ways. I think most of them will tell you I'm pretty stubborn. But I am what I am. I've never claimed to be perfect. And so that's, if they want to say it's a pigtail because it makes me look incompetent and dumb, then say that. It doesn't explain why the truck's sitting in the shop for a month. I don't think pigtails are on back order. Maybe they are. I see them sitting on the shelf in truck stops all the time. I'm pretty sure that Love's that other guy's at, if I drove out there right now, they probably got pigtails in there and I could buy them with points. By the way, that stuff is ridiculously expensive. Pigtails and airlines, there should be some price gouging there. Not sure if Peanut Butter Place, but they did request a food grade trailer heading back to Chicago. Yeah, they're super nice there if you're at the place I think you're going to. And I believe they'll take you about an hour and a half early. It just depends on who you get. It's if it's the place I'm thinking of, it's kind of at the end of the road in a kind of a cul-de-sac. The docks are easy to back on. They're super nice people. I'm pretty sure you're picking up peanut butter though. Yeah, I guess tomorrow you can let me know if I was right or not. Steve says, sounds like you're on the right track, down but not out. Yeah, I don't consider myself out yet. I don't consider that I've failed yet. I do consider that I've had major setbacks and that things hadn't gone the way I wanted them to. But I'm still confident. There was a time about 9:30 this morning where I was pretty depressed and I thought it was over. And I thought that, you know, I might not even be able to drive a truck anymore. And then things started clicking. The finance company started calling me. Other people started calling me. Hey, Todd, can we do this? Hey, Todd, what do you think about that? And so I don't think it's over yet. And I really hope it's not for my success. I really hope it's not over for those that doubt me and that underestimate me and that just can't wait for me to fail. I want to succeed just to tick them off. That's really it. You know, I know everything I've ever done, I've always been, except athletics. I wasn't great in athletics. But when I sold cars, I was always in the top 2 or 3. Driving a truck, I'm usually one of the better ones at the company. I was one of the top guys at DART on the OPI board running the spot market. Roadrunner told me I was one of their most successful drivers. That wasn't me saying that. It wasn't a fleet manager. It was the higher-ups telling me that. And I did really well at Swift. I don't think anybody denies that. So I'm not worried about succeeding if it all ends tomorrow. But for all those naysayers and doubters and people, oh, Todd doesn't know what he's doing, Todd got over his head, I want to succeed just to upset them. Steve says, man, that shop really screwed you. Honestly, I think both of them did. And so neither one of them will I ever go to again under any circumstances. I mean, any circumstances. Now, I might go in there and buy parts, but I will never go in there and say, hey, can you do a service? Can you put an alternator on this truck? Nothing. We're done. And same thing with the Corvette. On a 50-year-old car, there'd be a lot of opportunities for me in that shop to work together in the future. But they decided to get one hit, and they got their one hit, but it's going to cost them a lot more in the long run. And what gets me is they know I've got a YouTube. They know who I am. They know what I do. They know what's going to happen. And they shot me the bird anyway, so we'll see what happens. Channel member Midlife says, you don't have to make the LLC inactive. Just to pass through your YouTube channel can fall under it. Oh, okay. I appreciate you letting me know. I don't know a lot about it, really, to be honest. I know I was told to get one because of my income level. It would help with taxes, and that they would handle all the details. And then that relationship fell apart, and so now I'm left figuring it out on my own. Ted says, I know nothing. Ignorant is bliss, my friend. 24V149 said, I had an LLC and an S Corp. Wow, you were a step above where I'm at. Daryl says, if you find a truck in your area, just make sure it's not an ex-oil field truck. Exactly. I saw one. Well, I've seen several of them that say they have a wet kit on them, and I run as soon as I see that. That is the danger, especially if you get a lot around here from Midland, Odessa. Yeah, I don't want a vehicle that's former oil field. They beat the crap out of them. And it doesn't look like this one. Boy, that's creepy. It looked like a ghost going across the beach. But they, it looks like all of my options that I'm looking at would not be from this area. So I think we're pretty safe. And like I say, it may end up being that KW again. We'll just see what happens. It's there was a two dialogues that we had today back and forth, and they know what I'm upset about. I see what their perspective is on things, and we'll see what happens. Oh, I wish I would have thought about that. Gary Cook says, now I need a picture of the Corvette in the background. I could do it. It would take me about 5 minutes to do it right now. And I could probably even put a collage back there. But you guys probably don't want to sit there and watch me yell at my computer for 5 or 10 minutes. Trucking with Todd, LLC for the next one. There you go, says 24V149. Gary Cook says, I'm 52, so you're younger than me, you old fart. Yeah, just a hair younger. But it's, it's like Dean Martin said, you only live once, but if you live like I have, once is enough. All right, and we're about to be caught up on the comments, so if you got something you want me to talk about or comment on, shoot it up now, and we'll get to it. Let me read this last one. Steve says, sounds like you have more options than you know what to do with. Well, I would call it more possibilities. They haven't turned into options yet, but I think tomorrow they're going to become options. That's been the great thing, and I was telling somebody about this on the phone today too. That's the great thing about this YouTube channel is there's a lot of trucking companies that are talking right now about how they can acquire me. There's a lot of things going on behind the scenes. A lot of people making phone calls saying, hey, do you want to sell this truck? Would you finance it for Trucker Todd? Things like that. So I got a lot of people working on my behalf. And some of you are going to take that like, oh, Trucker Todd's bragging. No, it works for you guys too. If Steve calls me tomorrow and says, hey, this place I'm working is not working out, I can make phone calls. Usually what I'll say is, well, where do you want to work? And he'll tell me, and I can make some phone calls, and sometimes I can help out with that. Sometimes I don't know anybody there, but this little community that we've formed here, we're able to help each other. And it was obvious the other day when we were talking on Tuesday about that Kenworth that I really wanted. And by the way, he said he had 2 guys coming to look at it. But you guys started giving me great advice, teaching me about the old ISX engine. I learned a lot. Guys started telling me about the W900, things that I need to know, things I need to watch out for. That's what I always wanted this channel to be. I always wanted it to be, I got a problem, you got a problem. Somebody steps up and says, here, let me give you some advice. Here, let me make a phone call for you. Because normally it's 2 truck drivers arguing with each other or trying to screw each other over. Or they don't want to tell you the good place to get fuel because they feel like you're taking away from them, or they don't want to tell you where the good loads are because they're afraid it'll take a load away from them. I always wanted this to be a place where we could help each other, where we could learn together. And Tuesday night, I learned a lot. There was a lot of stuff that you guys know that I don't know. And one of those guys I'm about to read his comment. Alaska Hall helped me a lot that night. Even though I didn't get to use his information, I didn't get to use that or go look at that truck. The information he gave me is stuff that I've stored in my head, and now I'll be able to help others. Alaska says, sorry to hear about all these problems. Will finance cover the shop bill? Right now, they're saying no, but let's say they seem like they're pretty motivated to work something out. And so I'm not saying they wouldn't. They would like me to, they would like to come to a compromise, though. And depend on what other deals open up tomorrow. I told them I'd call them tomorrow afternoon. We'll see how the morning goes, how it is after lunch. But we're going to do whatever makes the most sense long term. I got to admit, I like the older truck idea, Alaska, though. You really did a very good job of persuading me. And this is going to serve as an example for those that say, oh, Todd's stubborn, you can't change his mind. Alaska did, and he did it in a smart way. He didn't get on here and criticize me. He just went through, here's what I got, here's why I like it, here's why I think you'd like it, here's my numbers. And by the time we got done talking, I couldn't really dispute anything he was saying. Steve says, yes, the Lord has a plan for you and the vet. Well, I had a plan for the vet last night after it did that in that guy's driveway, and it involved a large explosion. But fortunately, I gave it a pardon. I didn't kill it last night. But on the way home, if it wouldn't have drove as well as it did, I might have let my temper loose on that car. Even James Best mentioned you in his live last night. Best of luck. What did he say? I don't know. I need to watch a James Best video. Everybody keeps telling me he's funny. He says all this crazy stuff. You got to watch him. And I've just never sit down and watch him. I don't know anything about him. If he's a good guy, bad guy. I don't know if he likes me, if he hates me, if he thinks I'm a genius or an idiot. But everybody's like, you need to check out James Best. One guy I know watches him religiously. He says, man, I laugh so hard when I watch his videos. He was supposed to be at Matt's last year, and I was going to try to meet him at that time and get a feel for him. There's a lot of YouTubers that don't like me until they meet me in person and see that I'm just a regular guy like they are, and then they kind of like me. So I did meet some people at Matt's last year. I met Asian Mai, and I met Justin from Just Trucking, and some other people. Had pizza with him. And so I did meet a lot of people. I met some YouTubers. I didn't know who they were. But James Best, sometime soon, I hope I can sit down and watch one of his videos. But let me know what he said. I appreciate his kind words. He said something nice. Even guys that have had issues with me in the past have said some real nice stuff on their channels about me, and I appreciate them not taking the low hanging fruit. Right now is the time when it's easy to criticize me and it's easy to say negative things about me, and I appreciate the guys that rise above that and say, man, I hate what's happening to Todd right now. I hope he gets through it. Or the guys that have always been supportive, like Cassius King and DIY Semi, that they offer advice and suggestions and things like that. So when I see people behaving like this, it gives me hope for the trucking community that things are going to get better. 18-wheeler said, did you sell the Corvette? Did the lease company let you take back the KW? So I've already talked about the Corvette, the K-Vet. Good Lord. The car, no, it was a disaster. The shop screwed it up worse than it was. The dealership wasn't able to buy it because their floor plan got shrunk. I had a guy on the hook for it, and the car just started having all kinds of problems right in front of his house, and he passed on it. I lowered the price significantly again, and I'm still trying to sell it. The lease company did not call me yesterday. They did contact me today about getting the truck back, and I told them I'd give them my answer by tomorrow afternoon. I've got some other irons in the fire, other things at work, at play that I promise not to talk about yet, but we'll see what happens tomorrow. Ideally, what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at all the options that are before me tomorrow, and some of them are pretty good and some of them are pretty bad, and I'm going to make the best decision out of that. I might put a video out tomorrow for channel members and kind of tell y'all where everything's at. Or if there's something big happens that's worth your time, then I may do another live like this and tell everybody what's going on. So everybody make sure you're subscribed so that whatever I do tomorrow, you'll be in the loop. You don't want to be, grilling at home and miss the information when it comes out. All right, let's see here. What else we got? You okay, Paula? Okay. How many trucking companies have you run under? Well, I've been driving 27 years, so I don't know the exact number, but in 27 years, I've worked for a few. Several of them have gone out of business. Several of them I've worked for several times. For example, I've worked for Swift twice. I've actually worked for Dart 3 times. The first time I worked for Dart 3.5 years. The second time I worked for them for 8 months and they laid me off. It was in 2008 when the economy tanked and they laid me off because I lived in Lubbock, which was outside their hiring area, and the freight was just too low to get me home. And then I worked for them this last time for, I think, about 2 years, right up on 2 years. So altogether, I got about 7 or 8 years with Dart. So it might seem like a lot of companies. There's a company here in Lubbock that I worked for. I worked for them twice, I believe. And so it looks like I've been at a lot of companies sometimes, but it's the same companies. And like I said, some of them's gone out of business. Some of them, like, for example, when I was at Dart for that 2-year span, they had 4 different CEOs during that time. And anybody that's worked for a company when they change CEOs knows it's like switching to a totally different company. They come in, they bring their own personality, they bring their own rules, they bring their own personnel. And so, I've never sat down and count, but I would tell you it's probably not as many as you think. Channel member Midlife Trucker says Brittany Richardson is looking for a driver for the pink Volvo at Arter Express. She wants someone with social media experience. Yeah, isn't she running like a roadside service or something now? And it really surprises me about her. I think she'd want somebody to go to RTI, but I think her and RTI had a falling out. Gary Cook says, I'm at the westbound way station in Georgia, taking my 30-minute break. Atlanta rush hour is a nightmare. I'm on my way to Memphis. I'll be delivering tomorrow. Well, be careful out there. At least you got past Atlanta. Oh, Gary says, put a 5th wheel in your Corvette. I bet it would pull your trailer. Just kidding. Well, my camper is just a bumper pull, and I still got my pickup, which it's also a blast to drive. I did see, I sent it to my dad a while back. I seen a YouTube video, I think it was, or a Facebook post where somebody had put a 5th wheel in the back of their Corvette. They took the back glass out and put a 5th wheel back there, and it looked pretty funny. But that's funny that you mentioned that. Russell says, hey, Todd. Hey, Russell, thank you for being here. Alaska, and I'm about to agree. Let me tell you before I even read Alaska's comment, I'm about to agree with him. He says, I personally love older trucks more, but everyone's situation is different. If it's easier to go with your KW, just do it, get back on your feet, and you can slowly start looking for an older one. Yeah, the deal about the Kenworth is they've really treated me like crap the last 3 weeks. And I haven't shared everything about what's taken place, but I just don't know if I want to deal with them, because if I go get that truck tomorrow, and granted, if it becomes the only option or the best option, when I talk to him tomorrow, then maybe I do it. But I just don't want to go get that truck. And then 2 weeks from now, they're back to treating me like crap again. And it's a pain in the butt. I'd rather be beat up than move out of a truck. It was not a decision that was taken lightly when I went and moved all the stuff out of the truck. And it's a pain in the butt to move stuff back in. Not quite as big of a pain, but still a pretty big pain. I mean, if I have to, I can throw everything on the bed and unpack it over time. But yeah, that's what I'd say about that. Is I agree with you. I'd rather have an older truck, but I mean, there was a point today where I thought driving was done and that I might have to get a regular job. And then all these opportunities started opening. And what I didn't realize was all these people were working behind the scenes trying to put something together to keep Trucker Todd in the game. And so that's where I'm at right now. I want to see which of these opportunities pans out. I've asked for additional information from several places, actually from 3 different places. And I'm waiting to see what they come back with. And then it's going to be just a simple, looking at the information and picking the best deal. There's a possibility if I get into one where I've got 2 that are really close, I might call some of you that I know really well and trust and get your opinion, get your advice. That's what this channel was always meant to be. It was always meant to be getting advice from the smartest guy in the room. And that's not me, not always me. Sometimes it might be, depends on the subject. A lot of times it's you. There's a few of you that I call for maintenance related advice because you've demonstrated to me you have a lot of that knowledge. There's a few of you that I call for trucking advice because you've demonstrated that knowledge. And so I just want to pick the best opportunity tomorrow. Midlife channel member says, park the vet in Dallas, leave the windows open and the keys in it. Yeah, I've got some people, I'm not going to say who, that they're prone to accidents, backing into stuff. That might be the solution. Make sure the insurance is paid up on it and loan it to somebody for a weekend. It'd be like they'd blow the engine and not hurt the car, and then insurance wouldn't cover it. Then I'd have a body. What was the total repair on the car, unless you don't want to put it out there? 24V149 said that. I believe it was 878, I believe was the amount of the tow bill, the repair bill. And then keep in mind, I spent, I think, $95 getting it towed there. So I've got close to $1,000 in it this last wing, and they did at least $1,500 worth of damage. I've got a guy that owns a shop here in town. It's like a restaurant shop. They have concerts there. They have rodeos there, everything. And he also has a shop in there where he does classic cars. I'd quite forgot about him when I took it to this other place where he'd gone before. But, in a few months, I'll run it over to him, let his guys work on it and pay him. And go from there. But it's on the list of priorities. It's down there right now. The priority now is to get a good truck, whether it's the KW that's at the shop or whether it's another one, and to get out here and run and get up a nice nest egg so that the next time it breaks, I'm ready to go through this rigmarole all over again. Michael says, good evening. Good evening, sir. This next one's pretty funny, I got to admit. Biden wears diapers. I have a Corvette parked in the same garage where I house all my classified documents I sold. Oh, that's funny. And I like the Biden picture too. That's creative there. Biden wears diapers. I like that. That one guy, Petro, Glendale, Kentucky tonight. The Iron Skillet is actually good here. Yeah, but I miss the buffet days of the Iron Skillet. Hey, here's a guy that I was just thinking about. I hadn't seen him in the lives in a few weeks, and I need to reach out to him. I hadn't talked to this guy in a long time. He's got his truck really set up. If y'all have never checked out his channel, he built like a little cutting board in there where he can make these great meals. And my favorite videos are the ones he does with him and his wife together. So if y'all hadn't ever checked out Scorpion Trucker, check out his channel. He's pretty cool. I'm just glad he's in here. I was starting to think he was mad at me or something because I hadn't seen him for a while. And I was getting ready to call him and see what's up. But he's here tonight. That's neither here nor there. Let's see what his comment says. He says, "Hey, Todd and everyone. Been busy running. I've been catching your live shows. Just can't comment while driving. I'm in a hotel. Blew my radiator today. Should be back on the road back to Arizona tomorrow." All right, good deal, man. I'm glad you're here. I had, and this was a long time ago, I used to have a 99 Mac CH613 that honestly I wish I still had that truck. At the time when I got rid of it, and I did pay that truck off, by the way, for those that was actually the first truck I ever bought. And I paid it off in a lease purchase. And at the time, my oldest son, was in some trouble. And so I was having to homeschool him on the truck while I ran over the road. We blew a radiator on that Mac in Flagstaff, Arizona. And it took a week to get that radiator. And it ended up, we did fine. We turned it into kind of a mini vacation and had a good time. But, man, it was an expensive trip. There's something about taking the plastic off of a 2024 Peterbilt 579. I love it. That came from Midlife, who's also a channel member, as I've mentioned. Yeah, any new truck or car, for that example, that new smell, it's great. And when you get to take the plastic off the seats and all of that, there is something pretty cool about that. That is correct. Gary Cook says, "Did you say Avery is no longer with Cordell?" That's right. I talked to him through text message. I believe it was last week. And he told me that he's no longer at Cordell. There was a lot of things that went on that he wasn't real happy about. And some of it was how I got treated. Some of it was how others got treated. And I'm not sure if he left on his own volition or if they squeezed him out, but he just let me know. He apologized to me for all that had happened and said that he was no longer there. And an EPU. Can't imagine life without one. Yeah, because of all the APU problems I've had lately, I'm starting to think an EPU is a better option. And I know there's still room for debate there, but that's something else to think about. If I get that Kenworth back, two things. One, when I was unloading it, the batteries were completely dead. So I hope they disconnected them. I hope that they're not dead and that I need, $1,000 or $1,200 worth of batteries. And secondly, even if the batteries are fine, I've still got to get the APU fixed on that truck. So all of that will factor in my final decisions tomorrow afternoon, what I'm going to do. It won't be the main factor, but it will be a contributing factor. Scorpion says, "Glad to see you're selling the game, my friend." Yeah, I'm not dead yet. I'm down for another 8 count. And some people have already written me off saying I've failed, that there's no way I can recover from this. And I think, I would have agreed with you at 9:30 this morning. I thought I'd failed too. I thought it was over. I don't feel that way now. I think there's some options still on the table. But I've definitely had some setbacks. And not being able to sell that Corvette was the biggest one because I kind of put all my eggs in that basket. Steve says, "I know it's a pain dealing with that finance company, but didn't you say that it would hurt you to walk away from it? Might be best to just keep it." Well, yeah, but a couple of things there. Yeah, it will. It'll hurt business credit and it'll hurt personal credit. But let's be honest, the last 30 days at least has really hurt my credit anyway, mainly because of income drop. One of the things that factors into your credit rating is what they call debt to income ratio. And my debt didn't change, or maybe it went up slightly, but my income definitely changed. It went down to about 25% of what it was. So I've already taken a hit. And all I can really say right now, there's so much that I can't talk about, is yes, it's going to hurt my credit, but it's not going to hurt my ability to get another truck. It doesn't look like. So there's a lot of people that, for whatever reason, want to work with me. You could say it's the YouTube channel. You could say it's my track record. I mean, you could say it's the way I talk on these videos. I'm not sure. I think everybody has their own reason. But right now, I've got a lot of people that are real interested in seeing me succeed. And even if all of this fails tomorrow, and tomorrow I make a video and I go, well, we tried everything, nothing worked, I'm out. I've still got a lot of people that believe in me and that want to see me succeed. And just like Scott told me, and I've shared this, I shared it in the last video. He said, hey, Todd, even if it ends, we're not done. He's like, you know, you get another truck, you've got a job. And, you know, I had another guy that called me last night, basically said, hey, you want to come work with me? I got a spot for you. Get you a truck, come on. I might even have a truck for you. I got another guy that just got his own authority in Texas. I think he might be interested in me after he gets 6 months in and can work with other carriers. But my deal is, you don't want to leave the deal you know for the deal you don't know. And right now, I don't have one single complaint about Scott. So as long as there's a 1% chance I can work with Scott at SRO Logistics, and that's what I want to do, because I know the system. I know his temperament. I know how to joke with him. I know how well we work together, how well we communicate together. So that's always going to be the front runner. Now, if tomorrow all these deals that I'm looking at fall through, then maybe I call Scott and I say, man, I tried. I'm going to go out here and run for this crappier company for 6 months, and then I'm going to try to come back. You know, I tell him what the game plan is, and I'm sure we stay in touch. We probably don't talk as much as we do now, but occasionally I'm sure he calls me and says, hey, how's it going out there? How do you feel about coming back? So yeah, that's what I'm going to try to do. My goal has been for this whole time to stay on at SRO Logistics. And as long as I can do that, that's what I'm going to do. And I do have some backup plans if I can't do that, but I'm not going to entertain those as long as there's a chance. I just did 4 batteries for my EPU. Those batteries are not cheap. $1,000 for 4 batteries. Wow. Yeah, exactly. And they think, oh, that's cheap. That's $250 a battery. But man, that stuff. And I like to run the AGM batteries, and they're even more expensive. Bobby Martin says, what happened to the residual income? I've actually been asked that question a couple of times today. The truth is nothing. I didn't say I had no income. I said it's about 25% of what it was. The thing you got to remember, and I don't know if you've ever leased a truck or if you've ever owned a truck, but the expenses don't go away when the truck parks. You've still got truck insurance. You've still got finance things, your house, your cars. You've still got medical bills, doctor bills. You guys remember I had to go to the emergency room for my back. I have prescription drugs, things like that. You still got to eat. Groceries are not cheap right now with inflation like it is. You still got to have gas. My wife still works. I've still got lots of sources of income, but trucking is still my main source of income. And there's a time that wasn't true. A while back, YouTube was my main income, and driving a truck was my secondary income. That has flip-flopped. I'm not at a big company anymore. I'm at a small company. But yeah, the finance company kind of said the same thing. They're like, well, Todd, we know what your income is. You should be able to make your truck payments, or you should go get a part-time job. And I've got 5 revenue streams. And trust me, even when I'm at home, you can ask my wife if you ever meet her. I'm working all the time, from the time I wake up till the time I go to sleep. It's rare when I have a free time. I told her today, I said, I would love to play video games, but there's a time and place for that. And that time and place will be later on after I get all this other crap handled. Michael says, guess I'll have to do the replay to find out what's going on. Yeah, I hate to circle back around for people that's been here the whole time, but if you watch the first 15 minutes of the video, you should get a pretty good understanding of what's going on. Scorpions in New Mexico on Highway 40. I'm guessing you mean Interstate 40, but yeah, I know where you're at. Jordan says, we need to make a petition to bring back the buffet to the Iron Skillet. Well, you know, prior to TA and Petro selling out to BP, they were talking about getting rid of all the restaurants and putting fast food in there and converting extra space into rooms that like truckers could rent to sleep in. I believe that has changed now that BP has bought it. But yeah, I used to love the Iron Skillet, and we would eat at one several times a week. And they're still pretty good, but they're nothing like they used to be. Alaska says, driving to Anchorage now. Moment from Seattle in Canada. Right now, looks like Anchorage got a foot of snow today. On top of that, they had another foot dumped a few days ago. Going to be a fun ride. Have you ever messed around in Anchorage much? They've got that Wild West guns up there, and I would love to go to that gun store. Hey, look who's here. Miss Mother Trucker is in the house. She did a video today. I only got to watch a small part of it. I guess they had another prime driver that they found dead or something. I got about 20 seconds into it and had to cut out of it for phone calls, but I'm going to try to circle back around and watch it maybe tomorrow or something if I have some time. Channel member Robbie Ross says, I'm glad you're happy with the Dak jersey. No, I'm beyond happy. I'm ecstatic. I was not expecting this, and I love it. It became my favorite shirt by far. And sometime soon, I'm going to go to a Cowboys game. I say soon, it's probably going to be next season. I got to get my stuff back together. So Kenny Rogers' song, sometimes you need to know when to hold, sometimes you need to know when to fold, and sometimes it's time to try something different. Yeah, I don't think we're there yet, though. I think I'm still alive and kicking. We'll see. Who knows? If it all falls apart, maybe I'm at prime. I used to say never, but I'm learning to never say never. RCE says, hi, Todd. You seem to be in good spirits tonight. Hope you get another truck, old buddy. Take care. Keep smiling. Yeah, like I said, if you'd have got me on the phone at about 9:30, I was kicking the ground and thinking this was the end. And what I didn't realize is a lot of people were working behind the scenes. A lot of people were praying, and I started getting texts, hey, Todd, I'm praying for you, things like that. And then you figure for every one of those you get, there's 3 or 4 praying that don't say nothing. And all of a sudden, all these things started coming into focus and things getting clear. And I really think we're going to have a good outcome come out of this. Now, I may be wrong, and you guys know I'll tell you the truth. And if we don't have an outcome that's good or favorable, I'm still going to share it with you. But man, you know, it's like we talk about what you want and what God wants. Me, I wish I could pull up about $3,000 right now, because I'd buy that W-9 for 2 and I'd have enough to transfer the title and everything. Or I would down payment that truck is what I should say. But that may or may not be God's plan. There may be something else. And you guys know this isn't a religious channel. I'm not going to beat my faith or my religious views on you. But I'm going to tell you that those that are praying for me and those that are making phone calls on my behalf about opportunities and things like that, I really appreciate each and every one of you. Alaska says, Todd, if you can get the equipment and if my insurance won't have a problem taking you after the accident, you can lease on to me and dispatch yourself for 8%. My insurance is about $1,100 a month. Yeah, I'll sure take a look at that. I appreciate you making the offer. I really do. Just an option if you need it. I thank you. Yes, sir. I do got your email now. I knew who you were in the email, but I didn't realize that you were Alaska Hall. I knew we had emailed back and forth a few times, but now for a fact, I know who you are. Exactly. Tim says you need to get back on the road so you can relax. I have worked my tail off since I've been home. I need to go back to work so I can rest. It's for me, driving is therapeutic. To just get on the open road, turn on the radio, and drive. It's a good stress reliever. Scorpion says he's headed to bed. It's been a long day. Whatever happens, you're a great guy. Good night. Thank you, sir. Have a great night. Here's another guy we want to talk about, Skyline. Before I read his comment, Skyline left me a really nice voicemail. It was very upbeat. It was very motivational. And I didn't get to call him back because I was just buried in calls. I did send him a text this morning. But Skyline's another guy that he's been really supportive of me and really motivational. He hadn't been a Debbie Downer or nothing like that. So I really appreciate Skyline and his comment. Hello, Todd. Blessings to you and your family. Thank you, sir. Pablo says, what happened to your truck? So it was down for about a month. It ended up being a PCM, and the bunk heater had some issues, and it had an oil leak that they addressed. And originally, we thought it was something small. The bill was going to be cheap, and the bill ended up being about 5 times what we thought it was going to be. Had I known early on the expense, I could have made different decisions and been a little more prepared. But to be quite honest, I got caught kind of flat-footed and really paid for it. Miss Mother Trucker wants to know who you drive for, Alaska Hall. I think he just said he's got his own numbers and his own authority. He said if I could get a truck, I could go run under him. But that's always a nice option. But like I said, if I can get a truck, I'm going to try to stay with Scott. We'll see what happens. Cassius King is here. Thank you for being here, sir. Yeah, I knew what you meant. Miss Mother Trucker said, sorry, autocorrect, Alaska Hall. Yeah, he said he had his own numbers. All right, we're caught up. So while y'all are typing comments, let me say, if you hadn't had a chance yet, please go give me a thumbs up. Share this video on your social media platforms so it gets out there, more people see it. Tell your friends, and make sure you're subscribed. Do all of that. Go check out Instagram. All that stuff's in the description. You can find that by clicking the video title. Check out the TikTok. All of that. There's stuff scattered everywhere. Check out the Facebook. We've been going about an hour and 40 minutes. As long as y'all keep going with good comments, we'll put them up and we'll talk about them. But when y'all run out of stuff to say, then we'll call it a night. We don't have a set time. When I started this live, they said you got to end it at an hour. That's what all the books say. That's what everybody says. We don't. I appreciate you guys so much. I know y'all are truck drivers and your time's very valuable to you. So as long as you got something you want to talk about and I got the time, I'm going to give you that time just as a thank you to you and an appreciation to you. Alaska Hall says, yes, I have my own company. So we've got that out there. Let me remove that so y'all can see the website again. It's also in the little scrolling thing across the bottom, the little ticker. If you got a truck and you want to work for Scott like I do, or currently sort of do, his email's down there, safety@srologistics.com. If you get a chance to go to that truckertodd.net, there's a lot of great information there. How to save 20% on a solar-powered headset. Several of you got the Yes Advantage fuel card this week off my website, and you're already emailing me that you're saving fuel. Check that out. If you're not in a position where you can do that yet, get the Mudflap one. It's also on there, and you'll save $10 on your first fill-up. I know it's not a lot of money, but every little bit helps. And that's not counting the savings you'll get by using the Mudflap app. So there's a lot of great stuff there. I'm sure I'm forgetting a lot. There's even a deal there if you want to open a Chase Bank account. So check all those things out and go from there. Let's see if we got anybody else. We're still at 42, so we still got a pretty good crowd here. All righty, it seems to be slowing down, so I'll go ahead and wrap this video up, get to bed, and hopefully tomorrow I'll have some good news I can share with y'all. Thank y'all for coming in here tonight. Y'all have a great day. Abandon says, evening, everyone. He always gets here right at the end when I'm leaving. But thank y'all for being here. Y'all have a great night. And cross your fingers. I got good news tomorrow. We'll see you. Bye-bye.